Hello everyone and welcome back to Rebooted MCU. Today we are here with the Rebooted MCU Phase 8 Part 5. Now, I know that there is a lot of questions probably about the structure of this video and what's going on with the future of Rebooted MCU. I will address all of that at the very end of the video. So make sure to stay past the second post-credit scene of this project to get a sort of lay of the land of where things currently stand with the Rebooted MCU. But with that said, let's jump in to the project. Phase 8 Part 5 is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 and it takes place in Universe 2037. The project starts by catching us up with the Guardians of the Galaxy, with the group consisting of Peter Quill, aka Star-Lord, played by Chris Pratt, Gamora, played by Zoe Saldana, Drax the Destroyer, played by Dave Bautista, Groot, played by Vin Diesel, Rocket Raccoon, played by Bradley Cooper, Nebula, played by Karen Gillan, Richard Rider, aka Nova, played by Glenn Powell, Bug, played by Paul Dano, Mantis, played by Pom Klementieff, and Adam Warlock, played by Will Poulter. We see that the group is happier and closer than they have ever been. Through witty banter between Quill and Richard discussing the new #1 pop artist on Earth, Dazzler, and Rocket showing off his new planet-destroying bomb to Drax in a bar back on Xandar. Speaking of Xandar, the planet is thriving, thanks to both the Guardians of the Galaxy continuing to gain support through their philanthropic actions around the galaxy, but also due to Lila the Otter, played by Lady Gaga, taking on the role as mayor of Xandar, allowing her to care for the Xandarian residents while the Guardians focus on their various jobs around the galaxy. This peaceful reintroduction to the team is abruptly interrupted as we cut inside Universe 691, where we are greeted with the destroyed remains of Earth and a lone man, Vance Astro, aka Major Victory, played by Stephen Amell, being chased by a human known as Corvac, played by Joaquin Phoenix, who somehow possesses the ability to fly and walk through space. In an attempt to evade Corvac, Astro launches himself out of his spacecraft and into a jump point, which actually turns out to be a rift into a new universe. After a few minutes of contemplation, Corvac follows Astro through the rift, where we find that Astro has been recovered by Adam Warlock, thanks to Nebula picking up an unidentified creature floating into space near Xandar, and has been brought into the Guardians' base for questioning, due to the fact that Astro holds an item that causes great concern for the Guardians: the vibranium shield used by Captain America. When the Guardians begin interrogating Astro, they learn that he is from a different universe, along with the tragic backstory of Universe 691. Universe 691 is similar to mainline RMCU, but also drastically different. Some key differences include Adam Warlock dying in the battle with Thanos, Nebula using the Infinity Gauntlet to defeat Thanos and save the world, and Johnny Storm sacrificing himself to stop Galactus. Differences that allow Tony Stark to survive the events of Infinity War and the coming of Galactus. Something that would directly lead to the creation of Corvac, when Stark decided to restart the scrapped Ultron initiative following Galactus' attack on Earth. Stark, along with top British scientist Computer Graham and aeronautics expert Michael Corvac, would create a space station designed as GSD-3 1974. GSD-3 1974 would be filled to the brim with the most advanced technology and would be programmed with only one goal: protect against threats, with the word threats being updated every day by Stark in order to prevent Ultron 2.0. However, one fateful day, Corvac was on board the GSD-3 1974 when a cosmic storm similar to the one that gave the Fantastic Four their powers occurred. The cosmic energy would merge Corvac with GSD-3 1974, with man and machine becoming one and the same. Corvac, an egomaniac, would become power-hungry and formed a god complex, feeling that humanity was beneath him and sought to rid the world of impurity. Unfortunately for the people of Earth, the combination of Corvac's genius intellect and the extreme powers granted to him by the power cosmic and the GSD-3 1974 made him an unstoppable force, easily killing the Avengers, X-Men, Defenders, Ravagers, and finally destroying the Earth itself. The lone survivor was Astro, who grabbed Captain America's shield as a symbol of hope before blasting off in the Eclector in an attempt to escape Corvac and survive. But before he knew it, he found himself here. And as the Guardians realize what is going on, Lila interrupts the interrogation, informing the group that an odd man has arrived on Xandar. When the Guardians go to greet the man, they are quickly informed that the man standing before them is, in fact, Corvac. Corvac begins waxing poetic about how he is the perfect specimen before laying eyes on Astro, which causes him to begin screaming about eliminating a threat to the universe, as he launched himself in a battle, acting more as a machine than a man. This battle shows us some important things about Corvac. His powers include superhuman strength, superhuman speed, energy manipulation, the ability to transform metal and debris into replicas of himself, the ability to phase through objects and create astral projects. This fight also shows how outclassed the Guardians of the Galaxy are against Corvac, with powerhouses such as Drax and Adam Warlock struggling to inflict any damage. The battle takes a turn when Rocket realizes that Corvac appears to be targeting Astro, and in order to avoid additional harm to Xandar and its people, they should take Astro off planet as soon as possible. This results in Peter, Gamora, Nebula, Drax, Rocket, and Astro blasting off Xandar in the Bowie, something that causes Corvac to regain his sensibilities and retreat for the time being. Later, we see the group on the Bowie discussing what happened during the battle and why Corvac began acting so strange, something Astro theorizes stems from GSD-3 1974. Believing that because a threat was detected, GSD-3 1974 took control of Corvac and caused him to act in a robotic manner. Despite this revelation, Peter and the group begin thinking about how they could beat Corvac, as none of them were powerful enough to damage him on their own. This is when Nebula has an idea. She gives Rocket coordinates and encourages him to follow them, as they will lead to two friends. One who might have the power to stop Corvac, and another who might be able to workshop a game plan to defeat him. And as the Bowie blasts off towards the group's new location, we get a brief glimpse at Ryder, Mantis, Groot, Bug, and Warlock cleaning up the damage caused to Xandar, with Warlock in particular struggling to cope with the loss. Meanwhile, elsewhere, we see Corvac attempting to figure out what happened, cursing Tony's AI for taking away his autonomy, before deciding that he will not be able to freely use his powers until Astro, a being that the AI considers a threat due to him being from a different universe, and thus causing a possibility for an incursion to occur if he were to remain, is defeated. With this, Corvac uses his heightened sense of smell to follow the fumes left by the Bowie as he travels to hunt down Astro. We soon see the Bowie descend on the aquatic planet of Lumley 9, where the group finds Carol Danvers, aka Captain Marvel, played by Natalie Dormer, and Monica Rambeau, aka Photon, played by Tiana Paris, who are working to negotiate a peace treaty between the Lumleyans and the Carmodians. As it turns out, Carol gave Nebula a GPS tracker for her ship, the Quadjet, during the events of Avengers Endgame that would allow Nebula to find her if she was ever needed. As the Guardians explain the situation to Carol and Monica, Corvac crashes the party, but this time sporting a new look. Corvac appears in his space station form, a form where his body is expanded thanks to the nanobots used to build the GSD-3 1974, increasing Corvac's power tenfold. We see a brief battle with Captain Marvel, Photon, and the Guardians fighting against Corvac, but once again, even the impressive power of Captain Marvel is unable to match the might of Corvac. Right before Corvac manages to land an energy blast that would kill Captain Marvel, Rocket launches his planet-destroying bomb at Corvac, with the explosion caused by the bomb damaging Corvac's outer shell and once again causing the GSD-3 1974 to take control and retreat in order to self-repair. The aftermath of the battle makes one thing to the group clear. Corvac is not invincible and can be destroyed if the group managed to hit his vital areas using Rocket's planet-destroying bombs. Unfortunately, Rocket informs the group that the material used to make the bombs is incredibly rare, so in order to make more, the group will need to find a planet rich with rare materials. Thankfully, this is when Nebula remembers a place she, Gamora, and Ronan visited a long time ago. A place that might have the materials needed for Rocket to create more planet-destroying bombs. With this, both Captain Marvel and Photon agree to join the group on their quest to stop Corvac, and as Peter calls Ryder to inform them of their next destination, we watch as the group makes their way towards the Collector's Museum on Nowhere. We watch as the Guardians that remained on Xandar blast off to Nowhere on their new ship, the cool Interstellar Travel Ship, a name given by Peter and Rocket one night while they were drunk, before cutting to see Corvac floating in space, his body rebuilding itself from Rocket's bomb before he begins screaming in agony. We start to get brief glimpses into Corvac's past, including the death of his father when he was 5, his mother telling him to study as hard as he can, winning a high school speech and debate competition when he was only 9, and finally being named the top aeronautics expert in the United States. We then see Corvac cursed, demanding to know why he was made to be a perfect specimen if his perfection was to be controlled by a mere AI. This is when something snaps in Corvac, as he chooses to embrace the AI, attempting to gain control of it for his own nefarious purposes. We watch a body horror scene as Corvac begins screaming while GSD-3 1974 and he begin fighting for control of their body. The scene quickly ends as we see Peter's group arrive at nowhere and prepare to enter the Collector's Museum, a feat that is stopped by the security officer of the museum, Cosmo, the space dog, voiced by Alex Ivanishi, who informs the group that the museum is closed because of his master's prolonged absence due to his duties with the Living Tribunal. Peter, Nebula, Carol, and Astro attempt to explain why they need to enter the museum to Cosmo, but their attempts at persuasion fail. More interestingly, Rocket attempts to sneak into the museum, only to be thrown away by Cosmo's telepathic powers. As the group exits and discuss next steps, Drax notices the other Guardian ship preparing to land before it is suddenly hit with a massive blast, as out of the blue, Corvac arrives at nowhere. Nova blasts out of the travel ship and uses his powers to prevent it from crashing into nowhere as Peter's group stares at Corvac, whose face appears to be glitching, changing between a menacing laugh to a cold, unfeeling frown. We watch the Guardians, with the exception of Rocket and Groot, who remain on the ground, once again attempt to battle Corvac, whose power is seemingly endless. From their ships, while Captain Marvel, Photon, and Adam Warlock attempt to attack head-on. During the fray, Cosmo launches a massive piece of debris at Corvac, which causes him to set his sights on Cosmo, and launches a massive energy blast at him with the intent to kill instantly. However, before the energy blast hit, we watch as Groot forms a shield in front of Cosmo while Rocket flies in and pushes Cosmo out of the way. This makes Cosmo very happy, as he begins licking Rocket's face in the middle of the fight. After a few minutes of fighting, Photon notices something. The GSD-3-1974 has a door that could lead to the inside of the ship. Using this, Photon gains entry and finds a central control room, and using her energy manipulation abilities, she overloads the GSD-3-1974 AI control system, which causes Corvac to scream in pain as cracks begin to form around his body. Before Photon can continue to overload the system, we see Corvac's sentry bots grab her away from the panel and throw her outside, as GSD-3-1974 defense mode activates, which forces Corvac to retreat. As the entire group reconvenes on the ground, Photon lands with a smile, telling the group that she just found a path towards victory. Photon explains to the group that Corvac operates just like any other machine. If you overload his central control system, he will overheat and lose control of his abilities. With this, the Guardians formulate a plan of attack that will face Corvac head-on, gain entry into the GSD-3-1974, where Photon and Captain Marvel will overload the central control system, while the remainder of the team will strategically place duplicates of Rocket's planet-destroying bombs around Corvac's most vulnerable points. If they can't beat Corvac head-on, they will beat him from inside. Rocket also gains the ability to make more of his planet-destroying bombs thanks to Cosmo, who felt so grateful to Rocket and Groot for saving him that he happily allowed them entry inside the Collector's Museum. As Rocket, Bug, Groot, and Cosmo walk around the museum, Cosmo divulges his backstory to the group. Cosmo was a test animal for the Soviet Union, who was sent into space back during the Great Space Race during the 1960s. During his launch, his ship would be swept off course due to a burst of cosmic radiation that gave him the ability to use telepathy and also drastically expanded his lifespan. His rocket would eventually crash onto nowhere, and he'd be placed inside the Collector's Museum, and was also given a universal translator to allow him to speak. After the Collector's previous security officer, Ulycia the Rock Troll, played by Allison Tolman, was beaten by a guest who was told they couldn't enter the museum, Cosmo was named the new head of security before the Collector was forced to depart in order to meet with the Living Tribunal. As Rocket and the group continue to collect parts for the planet-destroying bombs, we're also shown the living specimens who are housed inside the museum. The aforementioned Ulycia, the Impossible Man, voiced by Michelle Jill Murphy, and an unknown Corbinite warrior with the initials BRB inscribed on his cage. We then cut back to Corvac, who is sitting in a fetal position, floating in the emptiness of space, which is followed by more flashbacks from Corvac's childhood. We see him getting beaten up by bullies, being made fun of for his lack of physical strength, his teachers laughing at his goals and ambitions, saying that for someone as smart as he must realize how ridiculous his goals and aspirations sound. Flashback ends showing Corvac vowing that he would eventually not only prove his doubters wrong, but he would make them apologize to him by proving that despite their comments and jabs regarding his appearance and ambition, he is the superior being to them in every conceivable way. This is when we see Corvac once again transform into a space station form as Corvac sentry units begin flying around the galaxy and wreaking havoc on various planets, slaughtering creatures and demanding that they bow before him. We then watch as Nebula picks up multiple distress signals on the Bowie, informing the group that they need to hurry up. As Peter gathers Rocket's group from the museum, Cosmo announces his intention to join the group, a proposition that makes both Rocket and Peter confused, with both trying to persuade Cosmo that it wouldn't be wise to abandon his duties, especially when the person he is working for is a being as powerful as the Collector. Cosmo laughs this off and releases Ulisha from her prison, telling the group that in all likelihood the Collector would not be returning to nowhere anytime soon, and rather than remaining as a security dog, he wants to travel the galaxy with his new friends. With this, Peter and Rocket begrudgingly agree to allow Cosmo to join the group, as they return to the group to discuss strategy. The group collectively decides that they need to buy Rocket as much time as they can so he can finish building the remaining planet-destroying bombs before they attempt to gain entry to Corvac. Captain Marvel interrupts the conversation, saying that she was able to pick up a large energy signature on her spacecraft, which she believes is Corvac. With this, the Guardians prepare for their final battle, with Astro telling the group that somehow, someway, he knows they will win, considering the hero of his Earth, Nebula, is fighting alongside him. And with this sentiment, the group heads off to face Corvac for the final time. The group approaches Corvac in 3 ships, the Bowie, which holds Peter, Rocket, Groot, Bug, Cosmo, and Astro, the Travel Ship, which holds Ryder, Drax, Nebula, Gamora, and Mantis, and the Quad Jet, which holds Carol, Monica, and Adam Warlock. These ships engage in a brief firefight with Corvac, who sends a large number of replicas after the group, something that played right into the Guardians' plan as it allowed Rocket to have an ample amount of time to finish building his planet-destroying bombs. When Rocket ultimately finishes the bombs, he watches Peter gives the go-ahead. As the 3 ships fire their blasters directly into the space station door, they gain entry. As the group gains entry to the ship, they are greeted with Corvac's sentry units, resulting in an awesome hallway fight scene similar to the one in the MCU's Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Peter dodges and shoots his blasters. Gamora slices and cleaves her way through the enemy while performing acrobatic dodges. Nebula contorts her body and lands powerful blows. Drax plows through the Corvac units, laughing the entire time. Nova shoots powerful energy blasts thanks to the Nova Force. Rocket and Groot utilize team-based attacks. Mantis distracts the enemy while Bug lands powerful blows. Adam Warlock flies through the units easily, competing with both Captain Marvel and Photon to see how many they can defeat. Astro throws Cap shields and smashes the units, commenting about how useful the shield actually is, while Cosmo uses his telekinetic powers to stop the units. As the hallway is cleared, we get an awesome group shot of the Guardians of the Galaxy, before the team splits up to end the conflict with Corvac for good. While Captain Marvel and Photon head directly towards the central control room to overload the GSD-3 1974, the Guardians split up in order to plant bombs in the 5 most vulnerable areas of the space station. The groups are Peter, Rocket, and Groot, Nebula and Adam Warlock, Drax and Nova, Gamora and Cosmo, and Major Victory with Mantis and Bug. As the 5 groups run through the space station, we watch them all fight off Corvac drones as the tension is turned up to an 11. The situation only becomes more dire when Photon and Captain Marvel begin overloading the central control unit, which causes Corvac to thrash about rapidly, going so far as to punch himself, yelling at the Guardians and demanding they leave him alone and quit attempting to quash perfection. We see Peter, Rocket, and Groot arrive at their destination, with Peter activating the bomb and placing it down for detonation. But as the group begins to run back towards the ships, the bomb begins to roll down a different hallway, causing Peter's face to turn pale. If Corvac continues thrashing, they will need something to hold the bombs in place. The Guardians communicate with one another using earpieces, rapidly discussing what they can do to remedy the situation. Nova asks if they are 100% sure that they need to have the bombs remain in the exact location they plan, something confirmed by Nebula, saying that if the bomb is misplaced even slightly, the detonation might not cause enough structural damage which could allow Corvac to regenerate. The communication falls silent. As Rocket desperately asks what they can do, Peter says, "I think I know what has to be done." With this, Peter turns off his earpiece and turns to Rocket, the two staring at each other as Peter tells Rocket and Groot to run. He will remain and ensure that the bomb will detonate in the right spot. Rocket immediately protests this, telling Peter that if he stays, he knows that it would mean that he would die, something Peter acknowledges. After a bit of arguing between the two friends, Rocket begins to cry, reminding Peter that when he saved him from the High Evolutionary, he felt lonely. He felt unloved, even by his own creator. He felt that he lacked purpose. It wasn't until he became friends with Peter that he found a family. He felt he had a purpose, and most importantly, he felt what it truly meant to be loved. Screaming at Peter, saying that if Peter were to die, he'd be back to square one. What could his purpose be if it isn't saving the galaxy with all of his friends? Peter smiles, recalling a conversation with Thor, saying, "We chart our own destiny with every action we take. We can choose to wallow in the past, think about what we could have done, or accept what has happened and keep moving forward. Move forward for me, Rocket. I love you." Rocket screams and leaps towards Peter before being grabbed by Groot, who tells Peter one last goodbye before racing back towards the Bowie. As Peter turns his earpiece back on, he tells the group that he'll secure the bomb for his group, telling his team to make their decision and make it fast, as the fate of the galaxy potentially hangs in the balance. As this message reaches the other Guardians, he watches the four groups argue with one another about who should secure the bomb. Nebula has a heartfelt discussion with Adam, who says that there is a 1.5% chance that he could survive the blast, a sentiment that makes Nebula smile, as she tells Adam that he was created to be a perfect servant for a man who wanted to become a god, but instead he became a good man, a man that the universe needs still. Adam slouches as Nebula kisses him on the cheek, thanking him for all he has done and encourages him to make sure that Ryder makes it to the ship safely. We cut to see Drax and Nova arguing with one another, with Nova demanding to be the one to make the save, something Drax finds silly, saying that Nova needs to carry on. He still has so much more of his life left to live, a notion that causes Nova to scream, saying that he should have never been given another chance to begin with. Nova recounts how he let his friends and fellow Nova Corps members die during Infinity War, a scar he has regretted and learned to make peace with, but now that he finds himself in a similar situation, a situation where he can finally do something to step up and prevent his colleagues from dying, he is expected to step aside? Drax grabs Nova by the neck and tells him to listen well, saying that trying to sacrifice himself every chance he gets won't bring his people back, and it wouldn't honor their memory, or the memory of their dear friend, Thor. Instead of whining, he needs to step up, be proud of all he can do, and not think about all he has failed. As Drax thanks Nova for his friendship, he watches Nova falls to the ground. As you see Adam standing behind him, having knocked him out in order to quickly get him off the ship, he picks up his body and thanks Drax for his heroism, which causes Drax to smile as he and Nebula speaking to their earpieces, saying that they have secured their bombs. In the control room, Carol and Monica continue to overload the control system, with Carol turning on her comms, informing the group that the system is nearly overloaded. We then see Gamora talking with Cosmo, telling him that the choice is simple. She needs to be the one who stays behind with the bomb. Cosmo does not understand, but Gamora pats him on the head, saying that she was given a chance to chart her own path, something her father never allowed, a path that, for her, always meant to be with her best friend, her sister. Gamora smiles, saying that she can think of no more perfect ending to her path than saving the galaxy alongside her sister. One final act of retribution against their father. We see Mantis and Bug standing with Major Victory, who cuddles the bomb in his arms and says that he is beyond grateful. Mantis and Bug look confused before Astro tells him that he was the lone survivor of his team. All his friends died, all killed by Corvac. And at the end, he knows that they'll be able to rest easy because, even if in a small way, he helped defeat the cancer that took everything from him. With this, all the bombs are secured as we watch Groot, who is dragging Rocket, Warlock, who's carrying Nova, Cosmo, Bug, and Mantis race back towards the ships. We watch as Groot, Rocket, and Cosmo jump into the buoy while Warlock, Nova, Bug, and Mantis jump into the travel ship. Bug launches a travel ship away from Corvac while Mantis and Adam stand in silence, staring back at the space station. In the buoy, Groot takes off while Rocket wails, attempting to break free from Groot, who has trapped him inside branches as strong as metal chains, screaming about how he has to go back and save his friends. When Captain Marvel and Photon finish overloading the control system, they reactivate their comms and tell the group that it is time to go. In the final moments, we have an emotional scene with Peter, Nebula, Drax, Gamora, and Astro all talking with one another over their earpieces. Peter thanks Drax and Nebula for traveling with him after the Asgardians of the Galaxy disbanded. They gave him purpose, and like the man who previously led their group, Peter can die saving people he loves. Drax thanks Peter and Nebula for giving him a family, even admitting that Nebula reminded him of his daughter. Strong, proud, and beautiful. Nebula begins to thank the group before she is cut off by Gamora, who simply says, "I love you." Astro thanks the group for helping him, saying that because of their help, Yondu and his crew can rest easy, a sentiment that causes Peter to smile. And as we watch Captain Marvel and Photon fly away from Corvac, we see Peter utter the final part of the message he had for Rocket. My goal was to be the best leader I could be. And I think you, Rocket, can be an even better leader. With this, we watch as the 5 bombs go off, and as a massive explosion envelops Corvac, we watch the life slowly fade from his body as the day has been saved, but it came with a massive cost. We then cut around the galaxy as we see the Corvac sentry robots that were wreaking havoc on various planets fall to the ground, resulting in a massive celebration around the galaxy, thanking those guardians who fought and fell so they could live. We cut to a few days later as we see a massive memorial service being held for Peter Quill, Nebula, Drax, Gamora, and Astro, with the news of these heroes having been slain in battle reaching across the galaxy, bringing in many who have been aided by the Guardians of the Galaxy in the past to visit Xandar and say their goodbyes and honor the heroes that helped them during their time of need. After seeing the memorials dedicated to the heroes, he watches Captain Marvel and Photon exit the Guardians of the Galaxy headquarters, with the two saying that they will give the group a few hours to make up their minds. Inside the HQ, we see Rocket, Groot, Mantis, Bug, Cosmo, Nova, and Adam Warlock all sitting in a circle in complete and total silence. Nova eventually breaks the silence, saying that Carol's offer to follow them around the galaxy for a bit is tempting, with Bug agreeing, saying that being away from Xandar might be helpful for them. Rocket remains silent until Lila enters the room, which causes Rocket to tell everybody except Lila and Ryder to leave. Rocket turns to the two and tells him that the fight with Corvac took too much from him. He not only feels like he let his friends die, but he also felt that a piece of his heart died in the explosion with his friends. Lila and Nova attempt to console Rocket, but he says the best foot forward would be to do something drastic, suggesting that the Guardians of the Galaxy should end. With this, the project ends, as You Can't Always Get What You Want by the Rolling Stones begins to play. In the first post-credit scene, on Hala, the capital of the Kree, we watch as Ronan the Accuser, played by Lee Pace, reads through documents detailing delays in cargo shipments caused by Corvac. As his royal assistant, Xandar, played by Eve Harlow, enters the room, Ronan inquires more into the cause of the delay, which causes Xandar to stand awkwardly, asking Ronan if he truly hasn't heard the full story. As Ronan inquires further, Xandar reveals that Corvac was defeated, but his immense power resulted in members of the Guardians of the Galaxy losing their lives, including his 2 sisters, Nebula and Gamora. This information causes Ronan to fall silent, before asking Xandar to give him some space, as for the time being, he wishes to be alone. In the second post-credit scene, we cut inside an unknown pocket dimension. The area is empty, there is no physical shape or structure, and there is simply a never-ending and everlasting white. Inside the dimension, we see 3 figures sitting together, revealed to be Victor Von Doom, aka Dr. Doom, played by Cillian Murphy, Nathaniel Richards of Universe 0139, otherwise known as Rama Tut, played by Nakuti Gatwa, and Nathaniel Richards of Universe 1136, otherwise known as Immortus, played by Nakuti Gatwa. Immortus looks at Tut, whose body is wrapped in bandages and his arms held in a sling. He comments that he still can't believe that Tut's body is still not fully recovered from an attack that occurred over 4 years ago at this point. Doom laughs, saying that his strength has been enhanced exponentially thanks to his study of dark magic, and that if he wanted to, he could have left Tut in a vegetative state. Tut angrily stands, telling Doom that he is lucky that they are working together, because if they weren't, his goal would be to kill him as soon as he is healed. A notion that causes Doom to burst out in laughter. In the midst of the conversation, we watch as a portal opens as 3 more figures enter the pocket dimension. Reed Richards of Universe 1610, otherwise known as the Maker, played by Adam Driver. Nathaniel Richards of Universe 6311, otherwise known as the Scarlet Centurion, played by Nakuti Gatwa. And Nathaniel Richards of Universe 1, otherwise known as Kang the Conqueror, played by Nakuti Gatwa. Scarlet Centurion comments about how drab the atmosphere is, with Reed commenting that this pocket dimension was one he discovered years ago, and it had come in handy over time for anonymous meetings that needed to happen off the grid. Reed turns to Doom, telling him that the effects of the multiversal collapse have begun to accelerate, saying that thanks to Kang's work, more and more rifts will begin appearing between universes, making their plan easier to complete. Kang chimes in, noting that their mission is only possible now thanks to his superior power and intellect, what? The very traits that make him the perfect Kang. This causes Kang, Scarlet Centurion, Ramatut, and Immortus to begin yelling at each other before their bickering is quickly ended by Reed, who turns to Doom, asking if he has finally been persuaded to join their cause and accept his special place within the Beyonders' perfect kingdom. Doom turns his back on the group, saying that while the past 4 years of persuasion have been thought-provoking to say the least, he still wants to see the Beyonders' power in action before deciding to fully commit to their plan. Reed smiles, telling Doom that they will do whatever it takes to get him on their side. Name any planet, person, or being that needs to be killed, and Reed will ensure the Beyonder gets it done. Doom turns, looking Reed squarely in the eyes, and says, "I heard tale of a being that dwells in a dimension different than our own. A being that even the most powerful sorcerers and wizards of my universe struggle to defeat. Doom wants the Beyonder to kill the Faltine King, Dormammu of Universe 0139. And that is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Now, in terms of the Rebooted MCU update, I'm going to try to keep it as short and sweet as possible. Simply put, where I'm at in my career, I really do not have enough time to continue putting in the amount of time and energy that it took to give you all the previous iteration of Rebooted MCU. What I mean by that is, if we take a look back at when I first started Rebooted MCU, I would take hours, typically around 8 to 9, to write the scripts, 8 to 9 to edit, an hour to record before I started editing, and however much time it took to make the thumbnail, the pictures of the characters you see in the videos, etc., etc. Now that I'm working full-time, I just really don't have that anymore, and because of that, I'm just not able to make the same quality of videos that I used to. Now, with that said, Rebooted MCU will still keep on. I don't want the series to end. I know many of you came to my channel because you fell in love with the series, and I want to finish the series and show you all how the story ends. But in order for me to do that, I really have to change up how I'm presenting the stories, so while there might not be as much detail and some of the projects might be more overviews of the plot like we saw today, that's what it's going to be moving forward, and I hope that this will still be satisfactory, and you will all still be able to enjoy the Rebooted MCU story, because we are nearing the end, and trust me, things are only going to get crazier from here. But with that said, I believe Winterguard should be the next episode dropping. I'm not quite sure. I might do another Dragon Ball analysis. I'll keep you all posted. I'm about halfway through the Winterguard script, so it might come out next. Again, we'll just have to wait and see. But anyways, thank you all for watching, and thank you all for continuing to support my channel and Rebooted MCU as a whole. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, share this video with a friend, and most importantly, have a fantastic rest of your weekend, and I will see you all again next time. This is JT Videos, signing out.